Discrete random variables. A student takes a 10-question true-false quiz. Because the student has such a busy schedule, he or she could not study or randomly guesses at each answer. What is the probability of the student passing the test with at least 70%? Small companies might be interested in the number of long-distance phone calls their employees make during the peak time of the day. Suppose the average is 20 calls. What's the probability that an employee makes more than 20 long-distance phone calls during the peak time? These two examples illustrate two different types of probability problems involving discrete random variables. Recall that discrete data is data that you can count. A random variable describes the outcomes of a statistical experiment both in words and numerically. The values of a random variable can vary with each repetition of an experiment. In this lesson, you will study probability problems involving various discrete random distributions. You will also study the long-term averages associated with them. A random variable assigns values to the outcomes of a statistical experiment. We use uppercase letters to denote random variables. Note that the uppercase letters are given as words. So for example, let X equal the number of cars in a household. Let Y equal the amount of time in minutes a college student waits in line at the cafeteria. For lowercase letters, those denote the value of a random variable. So these are given as numbers. So if lowercase x equals 0, 2, 4, and 5. Let's look at an example. So uppercase X equals the number of heads you get when you toss 3 fair coins. The sample space is tails, 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 heads, 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 tails, heads, heads, head, tails, etc. Lowercase x equals 0, 1, 2, 3. Uppercase x is in words, lowercase x is in numbers. So lowercase x 0, 1, 2, or 3 represents the number of heads you can get. So you could have 0 heads, 1 heads, 2 heads, or 3 heads when you toss 3 fair coins. Notice also for this example, the x values are countable outcomes. Because you can count the possible values that uppercase x can take on and the outcomes are random, then we say that this is an example of a discrete random variable.